You're listening to Change Your POV Podcast, episode 107.
Pretty awesome, and that is what's called flotation therapy. So what flotation therapy is, and some people may have seen this on shows like The Fringe and things like that, where it's basically like an isolation tank where there's about 10 to 12 inches of water in the bottom, but it is mixed with 800 pounds of pharmaceutical Epsom salt.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life, like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
Hello, folks. This is Bennett Tanton with the Change Your POV podcast with another episode of Attack Friday, where we strive to bring you actionable tips, tricks, and coachable knowledge. Today, I'm going to go over and talk about some alternative therapies that both I and Eddie have both used. And I'm probably way more into it than Eddie, but I've dragged him along to try a couple of these different things. So let's jump right into it. We've got alternative medicine and alternative therapies, and basically the name kind of speaks for itself. Alternative medicine is any practice that basically claims to heal, have healing effects of medicine, but is outside the conventional medical field. Therapies are the same thing, obviously. So when I say these things, what are we talking about? We're talking about naturopathy, homeopathy, and just naturopathic medicine, vital energy medicine, things that are outside the normal conventional scope, right? So traditional Chinese medicine, which is, some of these things have been used for thousands of years, like Chinese medicine. Ayurvedic medicine, which is a traditional medicine of India, which also just, both the Chinese medicine and the Indian ancient medicine, because I'm not sure if I'm even saying that right, both include not just like, herbal type stuff, along with minerals and heavy metals and things that they do, and they mainly stress plant-based medicines and treatments, but they also, and sometimes unfortunately animal byproducts and animal products and weird stuff. Also some of the energy type medicines where you're talking about like biofields, like therapies like acupuncture and Reiki and Polarity, and even, acupressure, which is, like a cousin of acupuncture, without the needles. But they're based off of bioelectrical, magnetic, things like that, and also just energy. And a lot of people, look at them as hippity-dippity, new wave type stuff. But a lot of these therapies have been around for eons, like take yoga, for example, meditation, deep breathing exercises. We all know that these things work in some form or fashion. I also know that Reiki works. I am a Reiki practitioner myself. I'm a novice at it, but I still am in it, and I perform Reiki sessions on myself and some of my family, and it seems to work well, even if it's, it's just a perception. But like guided imagery, hypnotherapy, these are all, Tai Chi even is considered like a holistic health, mind, body, medicine type thing. there's so many different, rooted in ancient Oriental culture, or whatever you want to call it. Then you even move into body manipulation when you run with massage, chiropractic, osteopathic, manipulative medicine, some of these, things like that. Even shamanism, altered states of consciousness. When you get into, that doesn't go hand in hand with shamanism, but when you get into, altered states, that's when you start bringing in psychedelics. You start bringing in things like floatation therapy and different, even work in a sauna or sweat lodge type work. And a lot of people just look at it as pseudoscience and whatnot, but I look at it also as just a basic, people come off as this is all quackery. But I feel as though it has its place, and so do millions and millions and billions, frankly, of people. And just because conventional medicine doesn't really support a lot of this stuff, because there's not a ton of scientific research on it, or we could get kind of conspiratorial in the fact that conventional medicine, especially in the United States, they don't make money off of this stuff. Because it actually, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, a lot of mainstream medicine is not about healing anyone. It's not about curing anything. It's about treating disease and treating symptoms, which, again, that makes it about money. So, because doctors, and I'm not putting down doctors, I know doctors, and doctors do good things for you, and they can help a lot. The problem is I wish that there was just more of a focus on curing disease than treating disease, because the cure makes that patient go away and doesn't fill the coffers of a medical practice or whatnot. Okay. So, also the, alternative medicine, you could look at it the same way. A lot of it, you have to, it's a maintenance type of thing. So who knows what's right and what's wrong? I just know I don't like having a ton of chemicals thrown into my body and various things like that, and some of these, treatments out there for cancer and some of the more invasive type medicines, man, it can just get ugly. And I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing in all cases. So I think a good blended approach is best. So let's get into some of these. I'm going to start out with more of like the energy therapy type things like Reiki and Polarity. Now, what is Reiki? People hear it and they're like, what? And Reiki it's a Japanese word. And this therapy does come from Japan, but it's I guess you can trace it back quite a while, but actual Reiki was not developed until the late 19th century. So the word Reiki literally means God's wisdom or higher power. That's what Rei means. And Ki is life force energy. So literally means something in the form of spiritually guided life force energy. Truly, when this is done by a practitioner, for me, it feels like a glow, like a glowing radiance kind of that flows through and around you. And it really does treat the whole person, body, emotions, mind, spirit, and has many beneficial effects that include relaxation, feeling of peace, security and well-being, and many people report miraculous results. I don't say that I experience miraculous results, but I definitely have issues that I've had for years that are lessened because I practice this stuff. So, it's really simple. Natural, safe method of spiritual healing and self-improvement that anybody can use. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be ill or have aches and pains, you can just, go in, have a session done and give it a try. I really it's not a religion. It is spiritual in nature, but there's not religious. It's not that hippity dippity. It doesn't need to be. And Reiki is not dependent on a belief at all and will work whether you believe in it or not, because it comes from that universal energy that's out there. All right. So that's kind of what it is. It's a harnessing of that so your body can use it to heal itself, and people will be like, oh, that sounds a little crazy, but don't knock it till you try it, folks. You've got Polarity Therapy, which is similar to Reiki, but it was developed in a different place. Reiki is Japanese. Polarity, I guess, in the research that I've done, is based on the Indian ancient medical system, the Ayurvedic principles and terms and whatnot. Polarity incorporates exercises similar to yoga, but there's also body work like Reiki that is based on your chakras and certain points on your body. Okay, so that's basically Reiki and Polarity. Despite their differences, they are both energy-based therapies and can be highly beneficial in certain situations for everything from chronic pain to PTSD to, terminal health diagnoses and whatnot. Okay, so it's just one of those things. It's another tool in the toolbox. And then we get into another energy type therapy, and that's it's acupuncture, which everyone knows basically what acupuncture is. It's the insertion of thin, sterile needles into the skin for the purpose of stimulating the central nervous system, causing the release of natural pain-killing substances and signaling blood vessels to dilate, deliver oxygen-rich blood, vital nutrients, and immune cells to damaged areas of the body. Acupuncture also works through the nervous system to trigger specific reflexes that cause chronically tight muscles to return to a healthy level of tension and improve overall muscle and joint function. Acupuncture is extremely effective at treating most types of pain. The technique practiced that I've had is really specific to pain relief, or the elimination often is really centered around pain relief and the elimination of that. And frankly, yesterday, now today I'm recording this on Wednesday, so Tuesday I had acupuncture done for pain that I have in my neck. And today, because I have range of motion issues sometimes, and just all around pain, and I get headaches and whatnot. And those today, as soon as I had the therapy done, my headache basically went away immediately. And now when I woke up this morning, my neck is the freest it's been in a month. And whenever I have acupuncture done, it really does a number on me. Now, a close cousin to acupuncture is acupressure, which I am actually working on learning about as well, along with Reiki. And acupressure is an ancient healing art that, instead of using the needles, it uses the fingers to gradually press key healing points, which stimulate the body's natural self-curative abilities. Acupressure was developed in Asia over 5,000 years ago, and using the power of sensitivity in the hand, acupressure therapy is effective to relieve stress, related ailments, and is really ideal for self-treatment and preventative health care for boosting the immune system and whatnot. So acupuncture and acupressure use the same pressure points and meridians, but acupuncture employs needles, which is kind of self-explanatory, right? So while acupressure uses gentle to firm finger pressure, when these acupressure points are stimulated, they release muscular tension, promote circulation of blood, and enhance the body's life force energy to aid healing. That's about it, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Then the next one that I do go to a chiropractor monthly, which gets my spine straight, and I kind of look at that as almost like you would do an oil change for your car. I do it pretty regularly because if your spine's not aligned and there's pressure on different parts of your nervous system, especially your spine, it's just kind of a no-brainer in my thought process that things aren't going to work correctly, So I do chiropractic about once a month, and that my whole family does, my children, everybody. But for my children, we've actually had pediatricians that we left their office because they weren't open to it. They thought it was actually detrimental, and if they could had a doctor actually say that if they could put chiropractors in jail for malpractice, they actually would, because they think it's quackery. So that's all fine, but I know my body before chiropractic and I know it after, and my body after is way better than my body before, because I went about half my life without having any chiropractic at all, and now the second half, it's just it's different. And something that kind of goes along with chiropractic and different body systems. So chiropractic kind of focuses on the nervous system, but now we're going to move on to the lymphatic system and manual lymphatic drainage, which is a type of massage, which is intended to encourage the natural drainage of the lymph. Now, we've all been sick, and we're all like, oh, my lymph nodes are tender, or, your lymph nodes are swollen, either under your armpits mainly, in your groin, or in your throat. We all know what a lymph node is, right? So sometimes these get blocked, and part of the whole deal with your lymphatic system is that it carries waste products away from the tissues back toward the heart, so it can, the lymphatic system depends basically, the circulatory system it just aids your body in immune function and all kinds of different things. Lymph nodes, lymph ducts, and then all that stuff is intertwined with the cardiovascular system. So it's a type of massage that basically helps get things moving in your lymphatic system. I'm not as familiar with it, but I've had it done for treatment of chronic sinusitis and other immune issues, here and there. Again, it's one of those things that it's poorly understood mainstream medical establishment. So I definitely recommend at least giving it a try. Most people, therapists are certified. There's actually, it can do a lot of stuff for you. That's good. Okay. And now the last thing that I'm going to talk about is something that Eddie and I did this past weekend, and I've done it two other times. It's just pretty awesome, and that is what's called floatation therapy. So what floatation therapy is, and some people may have seen this on shows like The Fringe and things like that, where it's basically like an isolation tank where there's about 10 to 12 inches of water in the bottom, but it is mixed with 800 pounds of pharmacological grade Epsom salt that's dissolved in the water, which is right about skin temperature, like right around 98, 99 degrees. And it's, an extremely dense solution, so people of all body types can float effortlessly. I mean, literally, you get in the tank and you are weightless. The float tanks are dark and quiet, greatly reducing sensory stimulation. So this environment frees your brain from the bulk of its processing duties and stuff that it does. And it prompts. This is the cool thing, and this is one of the things that Eddie and I would both attest to. It prompts the production of theta waves. Now, theta brain waves are the brain state of REM sleep. So like when you're dreaming, or when you go into hypnosis or lucid dreaming, in the barely conscious state just between sleep and just after waking, those are theta waves. Okay. And it is a natural, like, oscillatory pattern that you go through with the theta rhythm to get into that. But it's basically one of the things where crazy stuff happens, when you're in REM or lucid dreaming and things like that. Okay. And the one thing that, and both Eddie and I agreed, is that you got to a point where you don't know whether you're awake or you're asleep, and your mind is just kind of free. I did some meditation while I was in there, and after that, though, which my meditation takes me about 20 to 25 minutes, depending. And then we were in for 90 minutes total. So that basically the last hour, it seemed like it took about 10 minutes, but I can't say whether I was awake or asleep. But basically what it offers you is a safe haven for which to escape from everyday life, focus on you, focus on your healing, explore different states of consciousness. And it's got many applications for pain management, including back and neck aches, migraines, muscle and joint soreness, because it takes all the weight off of that, because you literally are weightless. So stress management, recovery from addiction, PTSD, athletic recovery, performance stuff, relief from discomforts of, especially for pregnant women. It literally takes the weight of all of it off of them. I could only imagine. It can help with sleep disorders. And then when it comes down to it, spiritual discovery and meditation. It's also known that there are artists and I use artists as a blanket term that have, used this for years to enhance their creativity, and also people for super learning type stuff where they'll read things before they go in, and they'll read passages and they'll go in and literally just think on it, and stuff just happens. So that's kind of the hippity dippity part of it. But either way, pretty awesome. You just sit there and float. And so when I read about the theta wave part of it, I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. I literally had no idea whether because I was in complete darkness, floating, kind of like almost like you're in a womb. Pretty cool stuff. With all that being said, alternative medicine truly is, or alternative therapies really are something that everyone should try. If you have aches and pains, if you have stress or depression or anxiety and things, give some of these things a try. Look into them. We'll put some stuff in the resources, in the show notes, where people can either go read about it or look some stuff up. But I highly recommend any one of these. Like I said, I've done them all myself. Eddie has done some of them as well. And I think it's an invaluable tool in your toolbox to just make you well. So actionable tips, tricks, and coachable knowledge. Attack Friday. Get out there and try some of this stuff. All right. This weekend, next week, just call, make yourself an appointment, and rock it out. All right. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.